Hello YouTube, my name is Nero. Today we have some more Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, and for this video I would like to cover some quick news regarding Call of Duty World War II. It turns out that estrogen is in fact confirmed for the game's multiplayer, in that we will be having female playable characters in the Call of Duty World War II multiplayer. We know this because of Twitter. Ryan here tweets to Michael Condrey, "Hi, very excited about World War II. Question, will there be female characters for multiplayer? My wife is concerned." Then Michael Condrey of course replies, "Yes, for sure," confirming that we will have female playable characters in the game's multiplayer. This has so many people upset that it's honestly comical for me. Like, reading through, I'm telling you guys, I'll put a link to this tweet down there in the description. Just read through the replies to this tweet. There are so many arguments, there are so many debates, there are so many shitposts and images, so much good stuff in the replies to that particular tweet. So once again, I would highly recommend checking it out. Link to it down there in the description. So the main reason why people are so upset with this announcement is because they want the game to be historically accurate. And in fact, they're advertising that Call of Duty World War II is going to be historically accurate. But how can that be so if we have a bunch of females fighting each other in the multiplayer? Because there just simply weren't a lot of female soldiers in World War II. Now, of course, there were a bunch in the French Resistance fighters everyone knows about. Of course, all the females that were deployed with the Red Army, a lot of people know about those as well. But aside from that, there weren't a ton of female soldiers in World War II. In a lot of the conflicts, especially on the front lines, which is kind of where the multiplayer tries to simulate to an extent. It feels weird calling Call of Duty a simulator. It's obviously far from that, but you get what I'm trying to say here. So if you have an American female facing a German female in the game's multiplayer, that's not exactly going to be historically accurate. Like, there weren't any American females storming Normandy with us or anything like that. It just wasn't a thing. Same thing with the Germans. Like, there were females in the German faction, of course, but they played the role of secretary, guard, clerk, messenger, nurse, so on and so forth, right? They weren't always up there on the front lines or anything like that. So that's why people are upset with this. But honestly, it's comical to me that so many people are upset because they're trying to say that Call of Duty's multiplayer needs to be authentic when it's pretty much impossible for that to happen outside of them doing a specific mode to make the game authentic, like they're talking about with War. For those that don't know, War is going to be an asymmetrical game mode, Allied versus Axis, where the Allied faction only has access to Allied materials and weapons and stuff like that, and the same thing for Axis. They only have access to Axis-related things. It's going to be like an authentic style mode, or there's even going to be like narrators and stuff like that involved. So it's going to be an interesting mode. But the multiplayer itself, you can't make that historically accurate because it doesn't make any freaking sense. Like, if you go back to Call of Duty World at War, which was the last World War II Call of Duty game, you have German soldiers quickscoping Americans with Japanese sniper rifles. How does that make any sense, right? You have Germans going up against Russians, but the Russians are running around with American submachine guns. How does that make any sense? It just doesn't. Like, you could try to make up like these things like, oh, they got some surplus from this group over here. They picked it up on, you know, they're fighting in Stalingrad, and therefore they picked up, you know, this gun off the ground or something like that. You can try to make it up in your head, but overall it just doesn't make sense. We got Nazis drop-shotting with Japanese light machine guns. That's not authentic. It doesn't make any sense. How come when I'm playing as a German, my grenade is the same grenade that the Americans use? Because they have different styles of grenades, but that's not reflected in the game's multiplayer. Like, you can't make the game historically accurate when it comes to multiplayer. You just can't. And so when I see them adding women to the game's multiplayer, it doesn't bother me. I don't think everyone's going to play as a female. I don't think your average game is just going to be nothing but females just running around or anything like that. Not that that's a bad thing. It's not going to be something that we see. It gives people the option to play female, just like we have in Modern Warfare Remastered. I play female in Modern Warfare Remastered because I've always played as a guy. And so when they gave me the option to play as a female, I'm like, whatever, I'll play as a girl. And doesn't bother me. It doesn't change the game whatsoever. It just, my character makes different noises when they are shot, I suppose, or if I fall off of a building or something like that. That's the only real difference. And so I'm not really too concerned about it. I understand that some people are, but they have to understand that when it comes to a big AAA title like this, they need to be as inclusive as possible because people are going to find every possible excuse to complain about the game. In fact, there have been some articles already posted, and I've linked to them on my Twitter already, and I get a headache when I read them, and I hate it so much. And people are complaining that the diversity in Call of Duty World War II is nothing but sheer marketing. They're doing it just to check boxes rather than actually wanting to include these people, right? For example, if you remember the reveal, right, they specifically had to go out of their way to say there's going to be an African-American unit. They went out of their way to say the French resistance leader is going to be female. They specifically mentioned the main character's Jewish friend. Like, they're naming all of these things off because they need to be inclusive, right? If you think of World War II, just a bunch of white guys, pretty much, right? That's what most people think of, and if we want to be historically accurate, that's kind of what it was. And so they want the game to be diverse because people like diversity in their games. So people are still complaining that all of that is just marketing. But at the same time, they were complaining that the reveal was hosted by a bunch of white men and just arguing and nitpicking. And just, I hate it. I hate it so much. Like, it seems like these people, they want everyone to just be accepting of everything. But at the same time, they're also nitpicking absolutely everything. And they hyper-focus on race and gender so much regarding everything that it's kind of counterintuitive to what the message they're trying to get across. It's terrible, right? And so if you're Sledgehammer, if you're Activision, if you're a big AAA game studio, you need to try and be as inclusive as possible. And so when it comes to adding females to the game's multiplayer, it's just not that big of a deal. Like, sure, I joke about it, estrogen confirmed, because there are people that are freaking out, but it's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. There were females that did fight in World War II, specifically the French and the Russians, but there are going to be Americans and Germans in this game as well, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about that down there in the comment section below. It's definitely a pretty interesting bit of news. It's sparking a lot of discussion and debate within the community, which I think is a good thing. Some of it's not good. There's definitely some very misogynistic remarks and stuff like that being made, and people, pointing fingers at Sledgehammer and Michael Condrey specifically. But overall, guys, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But still, I would love to hear what you guys think down there in the comment section below. Keep it civil. Keep it civil. Let's not all get crazy here, because I mean, it's a YouTube video, and we're talking about a video game here. Let's have some fun. Let's have a discussion, but let's be civil about it. So I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts down there in the comment section below, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.